The biggest buzz at London Marathon this year wasn't just the racing, it was around Nomio. It's a performance shot used by athletes like Cole Hocker and Connor Mance. Nomio is used before their key sessions and races, whether it's breaking the American marathon record or getting a world championship gold in Tokyo. What's also interesting is how widely it's being adopted, because it's not just by established elites. Emerging talents like Sam Ruth, the 16-year-old prodigy, swears by the product and is already making waves. Check it out for yourself at drinknomio.com, and if you're in Australia or New Zealand, you can find it at Aid Station and The Running Company. All right, this weekend guest interview is with a guy who made his marathon debut just a couple of days ago at the London Marathon. He's a bit of an internet sensation as well, and somebody on the rise. A massive thanks to his sponsor Nomio for making him available tonight. Welcome to the Inside Running Podcast, Alfie Manthorpe.
How's it going?
I'm going good, thank you. How are you? 48 hours post your marathon debut. Has it you got all the marathon feels going, like a bit of a roller coaster since you crossed the line?
Yeah, I haven't actually really thought about it in a sense of accomplishment yet, to be honest with you. It was like a buzz, obviously, when it was happening, with it being a home race in London. But other than that, like, most of it has just been a reaction of pain. And I've been pretty busy since, so I've just been traveling around, moving hotels and stuff. So I've not really been able to like process it too much. But it's starting to, I'm happy I'm happy I did it, I guess, now, even though I'm regretting maybe not eating the best the day of the race afterwards, because my legs are feeling pretty sore. But I don't know if that would have helped avoid any of that.
A couple of beers too, like celebrate afterwards?
No, I was on the apple juices. I don't drink, so
that's probably a good thing for recovery.
I had a McFlurry and a McDonald's though, but that made me wake up feeling absolutely shocking the day after.
Oh, what's your topping of choice on the McFlurry?
I went for the Smarties.
Okay, yeah. Smarties or M&Ms? In Australia, we don't do Smarties. We do like the mini M&Ms on them.
Yeah, we went in and there was Smarties. I think we have Smarties, mini egg, and Oreo. And I was like, I've got to try the mini egg one, but it sold out, so I had to go with the Smarties. I love Smarties. I've always loved Smarties, but I also am allergic to M&Ms, so I'm not even sure if they were possible on the menu, to be honest.
Okay, yeah, good. You got like a peanut allergy or something like that? What? Yeah. So both my children are allergic to peanuts as well. So I'm feeling your pain. It's a difficult thing to try to avoid at times,
especially as a runner. Like, everyone talks about how peanut butter is this sort of superfood to have on like toast and stuff, and yeah, I've got to avoid it. And same with all the carb bars, everything like that. It's always may contain peanuts.
Yep. Something in the same factory where it's been made. 2:11:31. Went through half in 64:04. Second half 67:27. Yep. Looks like you held it pretty good together for like that first 35K, and then was the last 7K the hardest of your life?
Yeah, to be honest, the last 10K was the hardest of my life. I was pretty shocked when I saw the splits. How well, I still obviously dropped it, but I was shocked to see that I wasn't too slow in that 30 to 35K. I can remember thinking with, I think, 9K to go, I was like, I don't know how I'm going to do this at all. I didn't have a clue how I was going to finish. And I just remember I was speaking to one of the GB staff team managers.
Yep.
And they were talking about the European qualification for the marathon, and he was like, even if you're slow, make sure you finish, because there's rankings. It's not just about the qualification standard, it's about ranking spots as well. So I was like, oh no, this is, I didn't know what time I was on for at this point, because I knew obviously I was on like low 2:08 pace at halfway, and we slowed a bit before that, but I knew it was probably still sub 2:09. I was like, I just need to ride this out and see what happens. And I didn't check my watch once to see the time or the pace. I just ran until I can remember, I think 37K, I lapped it, because I was lapping it at K markers, and I saw 3:30 something, and I was like, oh no, this is really bad. And I was just jogging a few times. I had to like catch myself jogging and then carry on pushing again. Um, so yeah, it was a very tough last 10K, but I think especially sort of 35K onwards, it was a different kind of pain I've never experienced before in any race.
The crowd you would have experienced is probably also something you've never experienced in a, a 5 or a 10 or a half marathon road race. Like that must have been massive in front of your home crowd there on the streets of London.
Yeah, I mean, I was shocked with how sustained it was for the whole race.
Mm.
I think I can't really remember any time where we weren't in the tunnel, and maybe some of the first few kilometers where there wasn't just a line of crowd everywhere, like just a complete line. Um, it was insane, and I think for the most part it definitely helped. But I can remember in the last like 5K, the time when I felt best was when we went into a tunnel and couldn't be a crowd there because it's like you get flashbangs with when you're just dying and then there's just a crowd either side. It was almost like too much for me to process and handle. So it was nice to have a break from that because like your ears are already ringing from the pain or whatever, and your head's going crazy. So it was nice to have a bit of quiet. But I'd say for the most part, and definitely looking back on the videos afterwards, it gets quite emotional actually seeing everyone sort of cheer you on and things.
Yeah, it could be over. I just did Boston last week, and same thing. Like no one was actually cheering my name, but just the noise of the crowd, and it's like overstimulating. And you're like, I wouldn't just mind a couple of kilometers here of, or to hear my foot hit the ground, kind of thing. Like getting a bit of a rhythm because it's, yeah, if you've never experienced it before, it can really kind of stuff with you mentally a bit.
Yeah, I think I went from in the 330s to back down to like 318 for that kilometer where I had a bit of break from the crowd. So it just I don't even know why that happened because obviously it's a very unique experience. I've never been that dead before in a race, and then also have to deal with that kind of big occasion.
Yeah.
Um,
And it kind of
but
looked like you're in no man's land coming into the finish. Like there was like, someone 45 seconds in front of you, 45 seconds behind you. You got a bit of camera time, which is
mhm.
always a bit of a lottery when we watch the stream of London Marathon. Like that kind of like 2:08 to 2:12 depends on if they're on an ad or what's going on. But yeah, you got the little drone shot, I guess, flying across the tape there to show you finishing, and you looked good. You looked strong. The kit was good. Swagger was good. The haircut's good. Finished it off looking really fine.
No, thank you. Did you have a different stream in Australia? Because I'm really hoping to find me collapsing over the line, but I've not been able to find it anywhere yet because I
No,
took a few
I just had the
steps.
BBC one.
Oh, okay. Because I can't find a photo, I can't find a video, but I literally took a few steps across the line, and without me even realizing, my legs, as soon as I tried to stop walking, my legs just fell apart. So I really want to see it back because I don't have a clue what happened still. I just collapsed. So I'm trying to find it.
Into the medical tent.
No, so I basically, it must have been like, because obviously you're always a bit scared about the chip time. Like you want to get through both of
Yeah,
the
running mats.
mats. And so maybe it was 10 meters after the finish, my legs just gave way. And then it was funny actually because they were helping me up because I couldn't stand up. And they're like, just be careful because that was sick, but we've cleaned it. And I think it was Kajelcha's, but I just remember thinking, so someone's managed to be sick and then they've cleaned it before I've even finished. And I was like, great. This shows how far behind I was. And to be honest, at that point, I didn't realize what they'd ran either. And I can remember, I think it was like an hour later because I had to go to the medical tent. Um, and I was asking, like, what time did they run? And they're like, oh, 1:59. I was like, you're joking. You just like, what are you talking about? And then I was like, where was Kiplimo? And he ran 2 hours, whatever. And I was like, so he came second. And he was like, no, Kajelcha came second. I was like, what? I thought like Kajelcha was maybe going to DNF over run a fast time, to be honest.
Yeah.
But yeah, crazy.
It's incredible. Have you seen that like Star Wars meme where it's like Kajelcha
Yeah,
explaining that he's run? Yeah, that's my favorite one so far. And then like you're a big fan of the sport. Like, were you excited about it? Did you have a lot of questions about it? Like, what were your initial reactions other than what? That's insane. How do you kind of think about it now, 48 hours on?
I mean, my initial reaction was I want to try the Adidas shoe. I think
Yeah.
because obviously we saw it before and it does look crazy. I'm not really sure how they've. Well, I know how they managed to get the stack height under it with how they measure it, but I was just like, it looks like an insane shoe. So I do want to try it. Obviously, now the two fastest marathon times of all time, you kind of want to test that shoe
Mm.
out. But I was actually almost. I was saying to a few people, I'm almost sad I'm not a spectator of the day to see that because obviously, Joe, when I did social media with Trackster, and I used to post about all the diamond leagues and everything like that. I used to get so excited with these crazy athletic achievements, but for some reason on Sunday, I'm not sure whether it was because I was sort of in my own race and at least mentally and physically struggling after the race. I just couldn't really appreciate it too much. So, and it's also a bit too hard to believe. Like, I'm just so astonished by it. It's like I don't know what to think. I'm watching the stream back now to kind of. I mean, I saw that the 24th mile was 4:12 or something like that. And I'm just like, I can't even begin to comprehend what happened. So I'm trying to wrap my head around that as well.
Yeah, and you're a good runner. Like, I assume you're on the same bus with these guys going to the start line. Like, for
Yeah.
220 guys like me, I'm even more like mind blown. I'm like, how's this physically possible? Like, and I watch it and I'm like, it's robotic. Like, we were talking on our weekly show last night. It looked like those, robots running half marathons last week in China. It's smooth. It looks good. There's no. I was glad that Kachalcha vomited across the line to give us a bit of like, oh yeah, that was maybe difficult for him. But Salway is just beautiful the way he moves.
He looked pretty comfortable as well. That
Mm.
was the worst part about it. Like, obviously,
And
when you
big
see,
negative split. Like, he got time to take off.
was it 59 flat in the second half?
Yeah, yeah,
And having ran that course now, that's not an easy second
yeah.
half,
It's a minute
especially
quick. It's
for
pretty much a
war.
minute quicker than our Australian record. Like, we could put Jack Rayner at halfway and he'd still get beaten by a minute.
It's ridiculous.
Mm.
I mean, how many? Andreas Holmgren's the only European who's ran quicker than that, right?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
And he's a world championship medalist. So yeah, yeah. Again, I can't even begin to comprehend it, to be honest.
Tell us more about like, what did you learn from the event? I guess from being around the other elite athletes in your first marathon. Like, was there anything when you're in the technical meeting, or I guess they set you guys up at a marquee at the start line or on the buses that you're like, oh, that's something I didn't notice before in other road races I've done?
I think maybe it's not too specific to yesterday, but any time I've been around elite, so I think I've done maybe 3 or 4 races, all half marathon or full now, where you get shuttled to the start line. You're in the hotel before, and it's just always such a chill environment, which is, I think, the almost the faster I've got and surrounded myself with faster people, the more calm it is before. So that's quite an interesting thing, I feel like, because it's almost like it goes from, when I was trying to run, I'm trying to think of a time to give a perspective, but just as I was trying to run quicker throughout the years, I feel like you take it more seriously because, you have to do everything perfectly. You have to get everything right. Whereas it almost like you take another step and it's like pretty chill. Like I can remember the night before I was going to M&S, or I think Tesco in the end, with Paddy Diva, and we were looking for some porridge pots, and he was like, "Oh, these will do," and it was just some cinnamon one because the other ones had sold out, and he was like, oh, "That's fine, I'll have that in the morning. It's good enough carbs." And it was like I've literally packed pasta from 3 days ago to store in the fridge so I can eat that in the morning, and he's just like, "Yeah, that'll do. That's fine." So there's quite a lot like that where it's just a really chill environment. I think that's probably the biggest thing to take away.
What I love, I've been in some like elite marathons in Japan, and did they roll out their yoga mats and just go to sleep? And
That's
you're like,
yeah.
how do you go to, like, we're about to run a marathon in 90 minutes and you guys are going to have a 45-minute nap. And they actually fall to sleep too. It's not like they're just laying there. It's just like, yeah, we'll just have a quick snooze.
I was also shocked by that now you mention it because I went to the toilet just because the coach toilet was locked, and so I was like, I need to get out to the bathroom. Coffee on race morning does that to you. And then by the time I got into the tent, there was like 15 yoga mats, and I was looking around trying to think, oh, where can I pick mine up from? I'd like to do that, and they just all packed them. Like I just everyone just had the same idea of rolling out a yoga mat and just chilling on the floor. Um, and another thing I noticed actually was it was quite weird how many people warmed up really early. And I don't know why that was because I thought it'd be the complete opposite. But I was like one of the last to go out, and I think that was like 50 minutes before the race. Everyone was already all out jogging, so I've never seen that before. Like especially for a marathon, I thought it'd be slightly shorter time frame, but I'm not sure if that was just race specific for these guys. But that was quite a weird one. Like most people warming up like 60 minutes before, 55 minutes before, and it was only a 10-minute call up as well. So it wasn't like we had to wait around for ages.
Yeah. And was there changes in the planned pace groups? Like, I heard you on a podcast beforehand that you were going to maybe try for that 209.30 European standard. And I think you made some comments about how you wanted to close the last 5K in like 14:30, and then
Yep.
did that pace. Then you ended up running 64. So I assume the pace group that you were planning to go with disappeared, and you had to adapt maybe from the technical meeting the day before.
Yeah, so we were obviously speaking between athletes, and I was one of the athletes I was thinking about running with a lot was Jake Smith, which still ended up happening. Um, and we were talking like with some paces as well, and it was kind of there's not really anyone in that pace group that we wanted to be in at the 209.30, and it actually got changed to 209.30 pace to 210 pace, so there could have been a window, and we were kind of like, I feel like it's a downhill start, but the first half should be a tiny bit quicker, and we don't really want to be going through in 65 flat for that. And also, if the paces dropped out, we would be by ourselves because there's literally no one else in that pace group. So then we were like, what is the only other option is to go to the faster group. And that originally I think was going to be 2.8 flat and got changed to 2.8.30. So that was almost for me kind of just acceptable to go with. But then obviously also I think the nature of the crowd and the Pacers also being very good runners, we ended up going through too fast anyway, which then I think made it a bit of a disaster.
Did you learn for your first marathon build up? Because it's different than the other stuff. Like it's a whole different world, marathon training, than that. I don't know. I find that general 5 to half marathon stuff, you can kind of do similar stuff and it sets you up for a great 5 to half marathon and everything in between. But the marathon's a different beast.
To be honest, I think the biggest thing, and I'm not sure if this is specific to me or how everyone goes through it, but let's say when I came off the altitude in January and then sort of built up to the half marathon race I did, I was still in start of marathon training with the long runs, but I every week felt amazing all the time. Like I was some of the sessions that I was doing, everything felt pretty effortless. And I can remember as my long runs got longer after that half marathon and the volume creeped up a bit more, it was almost like a switch where everything just felt flat. And I'm not sure if that was because it was the first time me being in that sort of training situation with really high volume, but my legs just weren't the same anymore. And for me, that was probably the biggest thing I noticed. Other than that, it's also remarkable how much more comfortable you get at just mentally thinking, "Oh, I've just got a 30K to do today. Like that's fine. Just get out the door and do 30 odd K." And yeah, they were probably the two biggest things, but definitely the feeling of how flat I was in the final few weeks was quite a big shock.
And then you and Jordo, like I can imagine it's a pretty decent debrief of what worked, what didn't work, what you want to tweak next time. You seem like I know Jordan pretty well, and you seem like you're a pretty thorough guy as well and a student of the sport. So, what does that look like? Do you guys sit down or do it over WhatsApp, or how do you kind of analyze the block leading in?
So we sent a message yesterday. I think he likes to give me time to debrief it. Like we had a call, obviously the Sunday, and we didn't actually really speak too much about how I felt in the race or anything like that. It was more just a general conversation about just the race itself, not really going into the data or anything like that. And we said we save that for another day. But I think he already had some ideas just based off how the race went. So sent a text yesterday, kind of going through. He just said, "I've got loads of ideas," and I said, "Me too." And he's like, "Let's hear them." So I sent out a full like a really long text message, and he was like, "Yep, you've hit all the right points there." And I think the next message he sent is a reply to your email. So I
Yeah.
was like, okay, but I was just going to bed. So obviously with different timing differences, it's pretty challenging to speak to him at times. But he's in the UK this week, so I think we're going to sit down more and have a look at it then. But really, it was just the classic: what went well, what didn't go very well. Trying to be as objective as possible about it. There's no point trying to sugarcoat anything, and there's no point, also lying about anything in the race. Like what happened happened. Trying to be as honest about how that happened or why that happened as possible, and then just take it from there. Really. So we mentioned a big thing for me was the strength aspect. So we're going to have a look at that more for the next block. I'm not sure what that's going to look like yet, but I think more structured gym work and obviously continuing doing the long runs. Like this block was the first time I was doing intensity in 30K plus runs. I've never done that before. So continue some of that stuff. And I think that would lead to a bit more success, especially in the final 10k of the race. And then we're just talking. I'm a pretty fair weather runner, and also like I'm very good at coasting. So if you get me in a Valencia race, I feel like that's where I'd be my best. The same with the 10k half marathon. I'm very good at races where you can just ride the same effort. But I just noticed in London, like if there was a little bit of a hill or if there was a corner, I instantly had to work like harder than everyone else. It seemed to get back to that group. So I think less time spent on the treadmill or track this next block is probably going to be something we're going to be looking at as well.
You boys should start like a Discord and charge people, like just to watch your conversations. Like, don't let anyone else contribute to the chat, but just it would be fascinating. Heaps of people would sign up to watch that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I feel like the Patreon's already got that covered, though. To be fair,
yeah, yeah.
so
Yep.
like
Bit of
maybe
behind the scenes stuff.
it's hard to get him locked down to talk to. To be honest, anyway, he's a very busy guy sometimes. So,
Yeah, tell me about it. Yeah, yeah.
but maybe I'll see how he feels about that. I'm not sure if he wants to give away all his secrets either.
Yeah, true. Tell us more about training though. So I went through your Strava today. There's a lot of long stuff on treadmills. There's a lot of big
Yep.
workouts on tracks where you're like doing a lot of mileage just around a 400-meter track. Obviously, do you have training partners or like a group you jump in with? Pretty high mileage guy. Obviously, give us a bit of a summary.
So I was doing a lot of training with Andy Butchart in February and March, but then he went to Flagstaff. So this kind of, I guess, the last month of the block, I was pretty much solo and everything. Um, but I grew up in Sheffield, where it's extremely hilly. So really, the only option to ever hit a session was basically the track or the treadmill. So it's lowered the barrier mentally for me to be comfortable doing that, if that makes sense. So I'm always I'll just do it on the track, or I'll just do it on the treadmill because it's not actually that hard for me to process mentally. And that's kind of gone to a point now where it's probably too easy for me to choose those options, when it might be better sometimes to go out on the roads with a few rolling hills, or a bit more wind, and kind of hit a session out there. So in this block specifically, Manchester this year, the UK as a whole, has just been really windy every day. And when you're trying to, hit race specific splits, normally I'm not too bothered if it was a 5K, 10K. But with the marathon, practicing fueling, the bottles, practicing pacing, I really wanted to try and lock into that pace a bit more. And it was just impossible to do outside. Like even in some of my track workouts, like you can see the data on my Coros, and it's like the back straight, my power goes up, the effort pace goes up, my heart rate goes up, and then the home straight goes down. And that was just the story of the whole block, where it was pretty hard to get a sustainable, consistent session. And I can remember actually the hardest session I did of the block was 2 by 8K, and I literally did the second 8K on a 200-meter indoor track, and then after the 2 by 8K, I did 4 by 1600 on the indoor track. So I did what was that, like 22K, over 22K volume, and 14K of that was on a 200-meter track.
How windy are we talking? Like you guys are dealing miles, wouldn't you? Like 20 miles an hour, like a 32k an hour wind. Would that be how windy we're
Yeah,
talking?
the gusts have usually been in the 30 miles an hour
Yeah,
most
okay.
days, to be honest.
Yeah, it's
Like
windy, isn't it?
and I feel like Manchester's a hot spot for this kind of thing as well. So luckily London wasn't that windy at the weekend, but literally every day this year I feel like it's been windy in Manchester.
Yeah.
So it's just been so hard to avoid it.
Yeah, my co-host is over there with Puma at the moment. Oh, he's on his way back now, but he was like, "Yeah, these UK guys are always whinging about the weather," and he's watched the London Marathon in perfect weather. He's like, "It's fine over here. I don't know what they're talking about, but yeah, you're telling me the whole block, no good, but then race day perfect."
Yeah, race day I think was actually maybe, if I didn't die, I could have utilized the tailwind. I think we had a bit of a beneficial, not quite like Boston, but in the same sense. I think the wind was blowing in our favor for more of the race than it wasn't, if that makes sense, because we were all pretty shocked actually in the first few K. I'm very easy to complain about the wind as well. I just want to put that out there. But we were all pretty shocked. I can remember saying to, I think, Jake and some other guys, I was like, we can take this chill. We're into a bit of a headwind at the minute, because we could actually feel the wind, which I was a bit devastated by, because we were warming up. I'm like, oh, it's windier than it said it was, and it's hotter than it said it was. And I was hoping, all I was thinking is, I hope Meteo Pace can pick this up afterwards.
Yeah, well, Jake's a pretty big contributor. He likes discussing the wind a lot of the times, the weather. It's good for a caption on Strava.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's interesting you guys are thinking about that as you're going. So then most of this block was solo then?
Yeah, yeah. I
Yeah,
would
see that's
say
tough as well.
I did one long run with Andy, and that was still not all of it. And other than that, I think every single long run was solo. Um, and then I think all my sessions in the last month were also solo, apart from maybe one. So yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
it's pretty tough.
Some mental gains there though, getting that stuff done. You do heat training as well. I heard some stories about like you jumping on the treadmill with layers on, gloves, beanies to try to get those heat gains.
Yeah, I do. I try to get it in 5 times a week, and for me, it's probably my least favorite aspect of the training. At least the one I find most miserable. Um, Luckily, I think the science is suggesting that passive heat training after a run also has the exact same effects. So I feel like when I was talking to Jordan about this time last year about starting to introduce it, it's not where it is now or the level of Joe. The studies, there's more and more studies each week. It seems about heat training. So he was telling me to definitely do active and get in the right temperature window, track it in the right way. But I feel like it seems you can do like post run sauna or like hot bath, and it has almost identical adaptations. I need to chat to him about that because I would much prefer to be doing that in the next block because running on the treadmill in hats, gloves, and many layers is probably the most miserable thing you can do in a training block. And
That's
it
not
also
fun.
kills my washing machine. My electricity bill is through the roof because of it as well.
Do you have your own treadmill or do you go to the gym? Because that's
So
awkward if you're at the gym doing it as well.
it's maybe the worst case scenario. The apartment block I live in has a gym downstairs. So also everyone who sees me on that treadmill also lives with me essentially. So it's I feel like it'll be getting worse in the summer as well. Like it's almost acceptable to be wearing layers in winter, even in the gym. Whereas when I'm doing it in summer, that's going to be a bit of a different story.
Yeah. So I guess now after Sunday, your first marathon, 2:11, you'd probably be sitting in that fifth to eighth kind of ranking for the UK guys. Like, and it's a tough sport when they're only picking three people to go to Olympics and world champs, and there is no Commonwealth Games marathon that's been
Mhm.
ditched, but Europeans and stuff like that. So, how do you then make the jump between now? Because you're relatively young as well, like you're 26, so you got time
Yeah,
on your side. But what's the next? I'm thinking, Olympics, LA, Brisbane. We'll see you down here, down under, hopefully running for the marathon. But how do you get there? How do you make that jump?
yeah. Firstly, I think I've got two very good Olympics to target in terms of places to go, which is pretty
Mm.
cool. If I do, when I make a team, sorry, I should say.
Brisbane's
Uh,
hilly though. Get on those hills out to
yeah,
the treadmill.
don't,
There's a
don't
lot of
worry.
hills in Brisbane.
I'll definitely be doing more hills after the struggles I've had in recent races. Um, I would say, obviously, continue what I've been trying to do this block as a whole. The volumes there. I think the building, like the foundation of moving to the marathon is definitely starting to be built. I feel like I've always been stronger at the longer distances, but also I feel like 10K and half marathon compared to the marathon, you can almost semi fake it in terms of the ability to go long. Um, Whereas as obviously as I found out on Sunday, you can't really do that in the marathon. Like as much as I felt great in the first 25K, it's still a long way to go, and it's a completely different story trying to hang on for I guess like 45 minutes compared to trying to hang on for a few K at the end of a 10K or a half marathon. So that's something we're going to look at in a lot more detail. Just building sort of the long runs more, and just I'm sure as everyone knows, listening to this, and it's kind of the cliche thing, but there's consistency, like building
Mm.
that consistency. Like my training hasn't really got any quicker in the last 6 years. It's just been more consistent and built up over time. And also, seeing Alex run 206, seeing Charles Hicks run 204, these are guys not who I think I can beat, obviously. I mean, I beat Alex in the half. So seeing, guys I've competed against run these times, it makes it a bit more um, mentally easier to process as well. And I think also when you look at the pace, for example, like I'll have to run, I think 2:59 per kilometer to run the Olympic qualification standard, or the first standard anyway. And that's a pace that I can at least mentally manage, from a half marathon perspective, doing it in intervals. Whereas, if I'm trying to qualify for the 10K at the Olympics, for example, trying to think about running a 26-minute 10K is it's something I can't process.
Yeah.
So it's a bit easier to do that as well and kind of visualize it in training.
Do you think the sports, obviously with the massive, the 159 breakthroughs over in London, but the results from Boston as well, like, do you feel like the sports moved a long way in the last week, given like a I don't know, like what a 210 was a couple of years ago. Now you got to be running a 2.5 or 2.6 for that same kind of standard.
Yeah, we've had the two best marathons in history in the last week or last 2 weeks.
Yeah. Or
I
in the
think
last
on
6
paper,
days, they were both in the
yeah,
same calendar week. Yeah.
it's statistically it's the best week ever in running or distance running. I feel like, but it also, like you said, it's kind of probably the biggest jump in performance perspective, like proportionate performance that I've ever seen. Where now all of a sudden I've got to start running so much quicker, especially because so many Brits ran well um, in London. So I feel like any athlete who sees that automatically has sort of opposing thoughts. One is like a bit scary that you've now got to have to try and compete, but then also the other side of it is if they're doing that, then that means I can also progress. Like if people are making these big jumps, that means I can also do that. So it's almost a bit inspiring as well to know that that's where you've got to go to. And I feel like, over the last 6 years, I'm trying to think. Super Shoes, actually, it's been longer than 6 years since Super Shoes came out, right? We've seen a jump in technology, which has allowed people to train more and also helped recover better from races and also race a bit quicker over the marathon and halves and things. And just seeing that evolution of technology, but also then the evolution of training, what's come off the back of that technology. Then also we've had improvements in fueling, improvements in like things like Nomio, like taking before sessions. Like that's just little boosts here and there, just compound to make such a big difference. What I don't think people maybe from the outside see as a full story. They just see the shoes. Like I know I mentioned it earlier, like I want to try the Adidas shoe, obviously. But I think it's such a big combination of everything that is just making people. I wish we could take away the shoes and actually see that there's a very good progression here, if that makes sense.
Yeah, the mass media, I'm not sure what it's like in the UK, but the mass media love the shoes. That's like the first thing they put in their headlines or just their sub headlines when they're talking about these massive breakthroughs. But do you also think the level of competition, like you're looking at Boston and Clayton Young's not in the top 10. Like,
Yeah,
and you're looking at Sarway and Kiplimo and Kajalcha, like they're legit in a race. Whereas that era, 6, 7 years ago, you got Kipchoge dropping out, with the pacemakers are dropping out at 34K, and it's a time trial. Like, do you reckon that's getting the extra half a minute out of people as well?
yeah. Anyone I feel like has felt that way. I always say as well, like make a race for yourself, and being surrounded by competition, even just from the adrenaline boost, ignoring everything else. Like there's something about just fighting it out with someone else to run quicker, and also again, it goes back to the if they're doing it, that means I can hang on. Like a lot of this last 10K for me was running with Jake Smith, and I was like, well, I beat him in a half marathon a few weeks ago. So if he's pushing this pace right now, then surely so can I. And we kind of yo-yoed, and I think we probably maybe both had that thought where, well, I'm still with him, and we've raced each other previously, and we overtook each other a few times. And I feel like if Jake wasn't there, I would have then been looking back down the road at the person behind me to who I'm now competing against. It's always about racing someone around you, and that definitely helps. I feel like I've heard Rory talk about it last week and a few others from last week. This just like, yes, it was a great day in Boston, but the reason they all ran so fast, and you've seen it in the women's race where they didn't run particularly crazily fast, it's because they were racing, especially in that first half. And I feel like I'm not sure where that level of competition has come from because I feel like the depth across the board in middle distance as well has seemed to drastically increase in recent years. And it just means everyone's running so much quicker.
Have to be a bit to do with people going to the marathon earlier. Like,
Yeah.
even for you, like Charles Hicks kind of spoke about, he's not that old. And even you as a 26-year-old, like I come from that era where it was what you did at your end of your career, especially in Australia. It was like Craig Motchin would try it at the end, Collis Birmingham. Like we didn't have these seasonal marathoners that would jump into it early. So I feel like people are coming to the sport because the money's there at a younger age. And like you get, yeah, a massive chunk of time to be successful at it.
I think also where we've gone with training and also the shoes, like a lot of training now is based around aerobic fitness.
Mm,
So it's almost seen as a base period is essentially just marathon training at this point because
yeah.
the shoes mean that your legs aren't getting as battered as much, so you can almost handle more, which then just I think spreads the spreads like your ability in different races because you're just overall fitter aerobically, and then also it's less of a commitment to go into a race or a marathon or half marathon because of how shorter the recovery is afterwards, providing you still eat really well afterwards. Like I'm still not running today, I probably won't run tomorrow, but I can even remember when I was a kid doing shorter distance races in the old road flats, like it would suck after every single race in those shoes. So for elite athletes coming from the track, they can go, well, I can do this marathon in April, and I can still be back for the Europeans on the track, or the World Championships or the Olympics on the track. And I think that also helps. It makes it an easier commitment for people like Kajelcha to come up onto the roads and then still be ready to go. I guess it's an off year, but it's the same applies. Like we've seen with Kiplimo, where they've been racing different distances across the board. And I'm sure Kajelcha will probably run something ridiculously fast over the 5K and 10K in the summer as well.
Yeah, and then you got a guy like Chepter guy who maybe should have just stayed on the track. Like hasn't been
Yeah,
able to convert, and you're like, oh, go back and beat up on people over 10K.
yeah. To be honest, maybe that's the fate of more money being on the roads. But I feel like Chep's guy's track career definitely wasn't finished. Um, but it's the same. I mean, Kajelcha's never had it his own way in terms of winning golds, so I can understand a bit
So
more
many
maybe why he's
seconds.
moved.
Yeah.
But Chep's guy was winning. Like he was still winning a lot of races. So yeah, I feel like he should have stayed there, but I guess it's what priorities you have. If you've already won the golds, maybe it's worth trying a new distance and also looking at the bigger money you make, maybe or the prize money you make on those kind of races as well.
Yeah, even the appearance fees as a multiple time gold medalist that helps in the first couple of years. Let's have a quick break to talk about Nomio because it's something that I've been looking into recently. The concept is pretty simple. You take it about 3 hours before a hard session or race. It's made from broccoli sprout juice, which contains an active substance called ITC. ITC has been shown to help reduce lactic acid buildup and oxidative stress during high intensity efforts. What's interesting isn't just that sessions can feel smoother, it's what happens over time. If you're able to handle hard workouts better and recover more consistently, you can stack quality sessions. And that's really where performance gains come from. Over the past year, we've seen many elite athletes start using it. Guys like Cole Hocker, Connor Mance, and Andreas Algren. Andreas, who has had a huge season last year with his triple European records. I was so intrigued by the research and the results of Nomio that I reached out to the team to learn more. And after trying it myself, I can only wonder about what part they played in all the records that were set at London Marathon this year. If you want to check it out yourself, it's at drinknomio.com. And if you're in Australia or New Zealand, you can find it at Aid Station and all over at the running company. Hey, let's talk about brand Alfie Manthorpe. Can we do that? You're a pretty
Of
unique
course.
character. Like Instagram, 97,000 followers, TikTok, 24,000, YouTube channel, 11.7. You got a stack of followers on Strava as well, in this unique position where not aligned with a footwear company. So you
Hmm.
can wear whatever shoe you want, but you've also got this massive reach that a lot of people, I'm just thinking who else was in that elite field, London Marathon, probably can't hit the same amount of numbers you can.
Yeah, do you know what? It's been a really fun few years for me in that kind of thing. As a giant fan of the sport, I was just kind of posting. Obviously, I was doing Trackster before, so I over the time I learned like almost got comfortable exposing myself online, if that makes sense. Because I feel like from an athlete point of view, it's very hard, as most athletes are, really just introverted people to post social media content and know what to post. So
Can you just go into detail about Trackster before you continue? Like just like
yeah, of course.
we follow the account and it's probably not as well followed in Australia as it is in the UK because I understand you
Mhm.
sold it recently.
Yeah, so I started it in 2020, 2019, and then I just loved posting about track and field. I think it was like shoes at first, like any shoe leaks. I loved posting, but yeah, just started posting a lot on Instagram. Brought in some business partners, and I feel like along that time, things didn't really work out for me, and it kind of took away what was maybe special about it for me in terms of like the passion side of it, and tried to make it an actual feasible career from a revenue point of view, which is really hard to do. Um, so yeah, I exited it about maybe just over 12 months ago, but just because there was nothing like it was a lot more valuable working on my own social media as well. Um, but yeah, I was just posting a lot and trying to get involved in the sport as much as possible. And
You do like coverage and commentary and stuff as well. Like you'd be aligned with events.
yeah, we did quite a lot of podcasts, went to a lot of events, did a lot of interviews. I mean, this is all from me who like I really struggled to do anything in front of a camera. Like even 4 or 5 years ago, like I had to bring on a podcast host just because I was too scared to interview guests by myself. That's kind of where I was at when I started it. Um, but over the time, I some of the things I got to do actually, like I interviewed Kipchoge, I can remember, just after he lost Boston because he came to London, and that was at the time one of the most insane experiences of my life. So,
How many
the,
questions did you get with him?
can I be completely honest here?
Yeah, yeah,
I wrote like I feel like really good questions, and they all got basically torn apart
yeah.
and got told what to ask, and then
I'm only
even,
asking that because I've been in a similar boat, and it's like you get one question. We need to watch it. We need to see it 3 weeks before you actually ask it. Yeah,
yeah, and I feel bad for no. Do you know what? He's the marathon goat, so I can say all this, but I feel like he's wrapped in bubble wrap, and even some of the questions I feel like I asked, and I think these answers were already prepared beforehand, and
and don't answer the question at all. It's just
yes,
something about completely. It's like a mission statement he's trying to get across.
and I also maybe asked them in the wrong order, and I think I asked where was his favorite place to race, and he said Alpha Fly Free, and I was like, okay. And then I asked who's your favorite like person to watch race who's not one of your Kenyan, it's not someone from Kenya because I wanted to know like a different answer because it's easy to be biased. And he said Faith Kipyegon. So I was like, okay, I'm,
Yeah.
I'm not going to get any answers here, but it
When he
was
was
still
coming
it's
out
a
for
crazy
Sydney,
experience.
when he was coming to Sydney Marathon, I was in the press conference then and asked him who's his favourite Australian runner was and listed, Craig Mottram, you raced him there. What about the boys that paced you at Ineos? And he just said, I want to make Australia a running nation. Like it did not even say one name. So
Yeah,
yeah, I've been there. I know what you're going through here.
yeah. I respect the hustle not to protect his brand, but like he's the biggest name in the sport, isn't he? Really? So
Extremely
it,
professional. Like it's
yeah,
not him, his account, but it's very polished. It's very professional, and yeah, it's well manicured.
yeah, for sure. It is. I feel like that's maybe why people also like maybe some stuff that I do, but then other people, even yeah, Hugo Fries is one who's maybe on the complete other end of the spectrum to Kipchoge, where he's pretty self-deprecating at times, and the content he makes is very raw and authentic. And a lot of people, I think, they're starting to like that as well because it's just a bit more unpolished, and it's a different side of the sport where I feel like you get to see more of the actual insights. Where a lot of the time, I think people are shocked with how just casual runners are and how chill they are. And I feel like it's quite refreshing to see that at times as well, that we can do other things outside of just run.
Yeah. Yeah, you guys are pretty transparent too about the brand deals and appearances and you kind of just I heard him on that similar podcast that I was referencing before and he's talking about how he didn't get enough food at this Puma event and was trying to carb load and it was kind of an easy listen there. So Trackster disappears and then it's about doing your own stuff, building that own audience.
Exactly. And for me, I think because of the stepping stones I maybe did through Trackstar, I love researching and learning things. So in terms of like social media algorithm, I know that's just getting a bit boring on that side, but like I knew what to post to do well, if that makes sense, with, you know, if it's on Instagram, has to be something that's savable or shareable, or just value driven, so it's education, and then also just showcasing some of the data. Having people engage with it essentially, or sticking around to actually watch the full video, and then YouTube. It's almost like a payoff and a hook. So it's a lot of that. Even sometimes, I guess it fits in naturally to the content now, but it's always like a bit of a consideration. And then just being comfortable posting so much volume, and being so transparent, and also being comfortable seeing people like call you an idiot, basically. I think that's something that comes with it. I can remember seeing a comment yesterday, actually. Someone posted a video talking about my debut, and then someone commented calling me a wanker, and saying, and I was like, this guy's never met me. And apparently it's something I said about a year ago on a video that he's brought up, where I was talking about running shoes and how a lot of budget running shoes aren't actually running shoes. And he took that, saying I was having a go at poor people, basically. And now I'm an idiot for that. So there's stuff like that all the time.
Does that just like water off a duck's back, or you go to bed thinking about it that night, going, "Fuck, am I really a wanker?" Like, does it get to you?
No, I'm fine with it. I find it quite funny, actually. In fact, I'm actually almost too chill about it. Like, it. I love kind of replying just to argue for the sake of arguing, but I couldn't care less about. I feel like if you know your intent's good behind what you're saying, that's all that matters.
So this landscape you're in, though, where like I had Seth O'Donnell on the show yesterday, and we are talking about it. Like, he's a Nike athlete, he's doing some stuff with Coros, and he's got some like other brands, but then he's also a physio and got his coaching stuff, and he's trying to
Mhm.
make it in the social media world. Whereas there's some people who get paid enough by their one overarching sponsor, and they don't need to spend any time or energy on that other stuff, which you could argue makes him a better athlete. He kind of explained it that he needs balance. Like, he goes away on training camps, and it does his head in sitting around for so long. But for you, you've got a lot of balls in the air as well.
Yeah, I agree with Seth on. I really like doing a bit more than just doing nothing, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Um, but also, I've ran all my personal bests since I've been doing the social media. I've had the biggest improvement in my career, actually, whilst I've been doing social media, because I wasn't at a place. I'm not Jakob Ingebrigtsen. I'm not as good as these people. But to make it realistic to train like those people, I have to somehow finance my career, and that was just a no brainer with the social media kind of. Um, how do I get there? And some of that was, getting gifted things, getting stuff for free, which helps financially, and then also getting paid to start training and things like that. It was almost like looking of, I need to do all these things to become a better runner. How is it possible to do those things? And that was just trying to bridge the gap. Um, so yeah, it was a pretty easy decision looking back, and I also feel like with what Steph's doing as well, and a few other people, it's if tomorrow I, for some reason, could never run again, I've already got that sort of platform to, maybe do other things, if I
Yeah.
wanted to
Little
start
pivot.
yeah. So that also makes it a lot more, I don't know the right word. It's more relaxing knowing that. So I can go into a race knowing my time today isn't going to affect how much money I make next month. And that's quite a nice reassurance, because it takes away the stress of a lot of that, which I think is quite negative sometimes.
It must also be good knowing that you've got genuine fans. Like, I know
Yeah.
nothing about Sebastian Salway or Jacob Kiplimo, and I know there's a language barriers, and it's hard to get this information, and people in their country would know heaps, so it's a barrier there. But um, there would have been so many people putting. Sometimes they do it. I know they do it at Valencia. They show you who the most tracked athletes are, and I'm
Hmm.
sure you would have been one of the most tracked athletes at London on Sunday, because there are genuine people in the world who care about you.
Yeah, and to be honest, as someone who is a fan of a lot of runners as well, I love every single second of that, because I'm just as much as anyone who comes up to me, asks for a photo, or come ask me a question on social media. I'm that same person asking someone else. So I just love it, and I find it so cool that I can be sort of that person for someone else. How I'm also, if I messaged, I can remember again when I was doing tracks. So like First time I think it was Morgan McDonald was my first podcast guest. I that was the coolest experience ever for me, getting him on a podcast and talking to him. And now if I can answer someone's question about training or help them, or it's also pretty cool being able to like inspire someone to get into running. Like a few people recently been, oh, I started watching your content. It's the reason I started running. And like that's just the best thing ever to hear. And so yeah, it's something that you've got to almost get used to very quickly, but it is just the coolest thing. I can't lie. Like I get to run and do what I love, and also people enjoy watching me do that. It's like the best case scenario.
Yeah. What's it look like in 2 years, this world? Like, is the end game to try to be like get that big Nike or Adidas or whatever deal, but then do you worry that that might like muzzle you and you don't have the freedom to do your own stuff on your own pipes?
I feel like those brands are getting more in tune with what's happening. I mean, I just have conversations with brands I've been talking to in recent months. So, I do speak to shoe, or my manager does speak to shoe companies quite regularly. Um, but I've also really loved I guess, the unorthodox route of it with, my kit sponsor 247, being able to then wear whatever shoes I want. I've clearly got a partnership with Sports Direct, so any shoe in the world I can just put on my foot and also then talk about it through their platform as well. So as maybe again a running shoe just enthusiast, I love being able to have as much flexibility as possible. And I feel like sometimes having a kit deal or a full head to toe kit deal restricts you a lot of that.
Mm.
Um, but
And
for me,
impacts the content that you can produce.
say again,
And it also can impact the content you want to produce. Like talking about
precisely.
every shoe is a massive draw card for the algorithm and what people want to watch.
Like I can remember in 2024, I had a brief time with New Balance, and I never actually had an official contract. But there was a time where I couldn't talk about any other running shoes, couldn't try any other running shoes. You automatically start to make a bit of a bit different content because you don't want to piss someone off, essentially.
Mm.
And all of that kind of restricts your social media, obviously, but also I love I love talking about the sport. I love coming on podcasts. Sometimes it goes terribly, sometimes it goes great. Sometimes I say stupid things, sometimes I don't. But being able to do that is, I feel like, the whole point of being a fan of the sport. Like it's the same, like you just having a conversation, watching it on the TV, for example. Like I like being able to do that as much as possible, and for as long as I can do that and still have these opportunities to run quick as well, then I'll just carry on doing that. But for me, again, it's just the coolest thing. So like, I'm almost have a joke with my manager saying it's a good job he's there, because I would just be doing everything for free anyway. I'd just say
Yeah.
yes to everything.
Yeah, and then
So
that's dangerous
that's
because
nice.
then you undervalue your value. Like you need someone going, no, this is the rate for Alfie. Like this is how many zeros we got on this number.
Yep. I'd be honestly, the amount of things I have done for free and I would be doing for free is terrible. I don't know how good I would be at running if I didn't have my manager, actually, because I've had times when I'm very fatigued from doing too much.
Can drain the energy. Like these, I'm sure you've been on a couple of brand trips where you
Yep.
might get a couple of pairs of shoes and a bit of kit out of it, and you've been away for 3 days and hard to train, and you come home cooked.
Yeah, I can even remember that day I went and interviewed Kipchoge. I literally caught the first train to London in the morning, stayed around in London all day, came home, and then did like some tempo and then some miles. And I can remember that week, for the rest of the week, I was just done, because I tried to force the session and push too hard, and it just didn't work out. And doing that on a consistent basis, you just constantly fatigued. And it's remarkable how I guess, how many times in my career I didn't realize the cause of why I wasn't running well, and it was just fatigue. Because normally it presents itself in an injury or an illness, and if neither of those things are happening, you're like, why am I bad at running, or why do I struggle? And it's just being fatigued without realizing it.
Mm.
A CNS fatigue, I think, generally is what Jordan told me when I started working with him. It was like, you probably should be having quite a few weeks of just pure easy running here, and I didn't want to hear that, but he was definitely right on that.
Hey, I got some more general questions here. I'm not going to say quick fire because I'm sure we'll speak about it for a couple of minutes, but this is the general question section of the show. What's your best PB? 13:39 over 5K, 27:40 over 10, did that at Valencia this year, or 61.26, also set at Valencia.
Yeah, I think 27:40 for the 10 is probably my best.
Magical day at Valencia. I think it was 27.38 though, wasn't it? Net time. Took you a couple seconds to get across
Yeah,
the line. But
and
World Athletics has only gone off gun.
I know it's painful that because I think me and Joe Wigfield would be first and second all time,
Yeah.
whereas
Yeah.
he's joint first and I'm third because of that, which is a shame.
Who's in between you? Butchart?
Rory Leonard.
Oh yeah, sorry. Yep. He was in that same race too, wasn't he?
He did the year before, but I think that year he didn't race.
Okay. Yep. I'm putting you in charge of World Athletics for the day. You can take Seb Coe's job. What would you
Yep.
change? What some of the changes you'd make?
Wow. I feel like over the years I'd have had so many answers for this, but if I'm trying to think off the top of my head, I mean, I always really
Take
love
your time. Take your time.
Do you listen to the Let's Run podcast?
Bits and pieces depends on what's happened in the week.
Okay, so Robert Johnson, one of the hosts, always says we need more races. We don't need more races. We need more races that matter. And I think that's the biggest thing for me is some stakes behind certain races. I feel like needs to change, and maybe try and prioritize the importance of racing a bit more than the importance of chasing times. I think could help.
So what are you doing? Bringing in like ranking points and stuff for these races, more prize
Yeah,
money.
I think more wild cards for things like diamond leagues, more value on competing on the circuit. You know, whether that gets you championship places easier, whether that's more of a league-based thing where you are encouraged to race these diamond leagues. I guess would be our top tier thing at the minute. Like this World Ultimate Championships this September. I still have no clue what's going on with that, and we're a few months away from supposedly the new biggest thing in our sport.
Yeah, I'm the same. I do a weekly running podcast, and I know it. I've heard of it, but I'm like, I don't know what it is. Don't know if there's any interest there. And if it's not hooking a person like me already involved in the sport, it's not getting the guy I work with who follows, soccer and footy, and yeah, it's a bit of a consumer of everything.
And one last thing, I think the route basketball took. This is my biggest annoyance with when I was with Trackster. Anyone is allowed to post basketball highlights. They don't get the money from the views, but they don't get copyright. Like they don't get the video taken down.
Yeah,
And
strike.
the amount of clips, like the basketball trajectory over recent years, has just been taken off completely. And I'm not sure if you see it sometimes, especially like relay clips. Like some running clips go so viral, and I feel like a lot of the time, like Gout is one of the biggest names in the sport because of the clips of him running like completely. Obviously, also the times he runs, but just the way he demolished the fields he was racing against, and the way he seemed to accelerate so fast towards the end. Like that's why he's a big name, and I feel like a lot of the time we miss those opportunities because of the way the sport's set up with video rights and things like that as well.
Yeah, did you see he went viral like a month ago for a race that he did like a year ago?
Yeah.
Like that just started getting recirculated again, and people were tweeting it and Instagram, and you're like, this happened ages ago. Like it wasn't even a current thing, but it just got hooked in there because it's so good to watch him take off.
Yeah,
Yeah, good one.
I enjoy watching it. It's there's a lot of things in the sport where are actually insane, and a lot of the time I think that goes underappreciated, and I think that's because people don't realize it happened, and the best way to get that out is through actually showing them that it happened through video.
Well, especially when a lot of these people are doing your job for you. Like you want to be doing this stuff on your own channel, or we want to be on ours, or whatever. Like it's not the media team from World Athletics or Athletics Australia. It's people creating this content which is lifting their sport, our sport, but you're doing it on your own pipe.
Well, you look at the most viral songs over the last 5 years. They've all hit number one practically because they've been viral on TikTok.
TikTok, yeah.
That is it. It's like TikTok is the reason songs are popular, and it's the same with trends. It's the same with sports. It's also the same with the amateur side of the sport. There's so many runners now. I feel like a lot of that is, for better or for worse, because of running influencers as well, inspiring other people to get into the sport. And there's a lot of bad what comes with that. as well with some advice that people give, and there's a lot to unpack there. But there's I feel like there's a lot of stuff that we could be doing in that space.
Just nurturing it, just working together. That's a productive day at World Athletics headquarters. You're
Thank you.
not swinging the axe massively, but you're just making a few kind of tweaks to put the sport in a good direction. Um, Tell me about your like people you look up to. Two parts to this one. I'll ask you also who do you like in the Australian distance running scene, because we've got some stars down here at the moment. But who did you grow up with the poster on the wall, and who do you kind of grab inspiration from at the moment?
So growing up, I mean, the first one I remember was Haile Gebrselassie. He was my first like star, I guess, or my idol. Transitioned, seeing Mo Farah did what he did as a Brit in London, especially, was great. And then, I mean, it's bad to say it now, but I loved the Oregon Project so much. And then with what happened with it, you kind of can't talk about it anymore. But Galen Rupp as well. Even the
Oh,
logo of that team, I loved everything about the Oregon Project.
the Flow Track series. Remember
Yeah,
that?
everything.
Dathan
Workout
Rittenheim.
Wednesdays as well. Ah, all of the stuff like that. And then I guess moving into the sort of the modern time, my all time favorite runner is Jakob Ingebrigtsen. And the reason I train the way I do now, or started to train the way I do, was because of the Ingebrigtsens and all of the Ingebrigtsens, Henrik and Philip as well. So they've always been big, big idols of mine. And then I think outside of that, I mean, speaking to people like Holmgren, speaking to Jordan a lot, like I love the sport, so it's always great to learn from people who know more than you. And I have to say they're probably my biggest. And then on the Australian side, I
Yeah, you got a
mean,
couple.
yeah, I
Anyone
mean,
getting your attention?
Stuart McSwain is an all
Oh,
timer for me now.
yeah.
He's he's a yeah, he's a cool guy, and he's just seen some of his races over the last few years. He's obviously one of the best, and for
Have
me,
you
he's
met
just
him?
a great guy. Say again.
Have you met him before?
So this is the thing, right? I did a podcast with him, I think, at one point, but I can remember the London Diamond League. I was like, I had the media, and he was like, "Oh, Alfie, like he made a big deal out of saying
Yeah.
hello to me." I was like, he didn't have to do that, and he still did it. So yeah, it was a good experience meeting him. I didn't think he would. You interview a lot of people, you speak to a lot of people, and it's rare that they actually choose to acknowledge you in a more enthusiastic way afterwards. And he was definitely one of those people who did that.
Yeah.
Morgan McDonald as well. He is Australian, right?
Yeah, yeah. Hasn't been here for about 15 years, I feel. But
Yeah.
Chicken Boy Morgs, yeah, he's Sydney based.
And then Myers as well. He can't. What he's doing at the minute is ridiculous. So I have to
Oh.
throw him into the mix as well.
Here's another one too that I'm sure that if you saw him in real life and you'd had an interaction with him online, he'd come up and start chatting. He filled in for me when I was in Boston last week on our weekly show. And
Mhm.
it's just like, yeah, just he's 19, but he talks like he's 30. Like his maturity
He's
and
so
he's
mature.
honest. And I worry that a brand's going to say to him like, "Hey, let's just dial down these podcast things because you're giving away too much information or you're a bit too, opinionated at times." But he's amazing to listen to.
Yeah, I think it's refreshing to see how he conducts himself. To be honest, at such a young age.
Hmm. Oh,
So I
gives
hope
you a lot of
it's
hope for the
changed.
future when you hear guys at 19 talking like that. Because I remember what I was saying at 19, and it was nothing like that.
Yeah, I also remember the times I was running at 19.
Yeah, don't even do that to us, Alfie. We don't want to
Yeah.
be comparing those times. What do you do outside of running, or is there just nothing because you're so dialed in at running?
I really, I do really enjoy business and things like that. And I know that's a pretty boring answer as one part, but the reason I do social media and try to look at other things as well. I do love going out for food and coffees, just going to a coffee shop, having a nice time with my girlfriend or friends. That's something I like to do. I'm a massive nerd, so I don't read comic books, but anything to do with comic books or Star Wars and things like that, I love spending my time doing that. And I used to love gaming as well, but I just always feel guilty if I ever game at this point. So I've kind of stopped doing that as much.
What kind of games? What are we talking about? Consoles,
Console
Fortnite.
games, PC games. I mean, all-time favorite games probably RuneScape actually, but um, growing up, Fortnite, Call of Duty, FIFA, Minecraft, everything, the works, all of it. and I do watch a lot of series as well. So even though Marvel's taken a massive hit of how the quality of it, watch a lot of that. Watch a lot of Star Wars stuff as well. So just a bit of everything, really.
What's the latest? When you say series, like you mean series of like different Star Wars spin-offs, or like what have you been watching recently?
Yeah, I mean, Invincible and The Boys are probably my two favorite recently. If you know what they are.
Yep. Yeah. I've got a 6-year-old and we've just started with the Star Wars franchise, like back
Yeah,
at what it was Empire Strikes Back, the first one, whatever. No, that's the second one, I think. But it's really the fifth or sixth one. Star Wars people are yelling at their headphones at the moment
yeah.
because I'm getting this wrong. But whichever the first one they ever made was, I'm trying to say here, which has been yeah,
Is
fun
it
to
is it Return of the?
nah,
Oh wait,
the
is
first
it A New
hope, the
Hope or
last
Return of the
hope.
Jedi?
I don't know. You should know this. You're the Star Wars
Yeah,
guy.
I know, but I'm like, to be honest, I'm like the biggest Revenge of the Sith fan ever. So I'm a pretty modern Star Wars. I'm pretty sure it's. I'm gonna have to Google this now just
Yeah.
to confirm it
Google
because
this now while we're talking, Alfie, because we'll get hate mail if we don't get
I,
this
I
right.
thought it was Return of the Jedi, but that's definitely the last one. So A
One
New
of them's
Hope,
called A New Hope.
yeah, A New Hope is the first one. There we go.
What's this? What's the second?
Empire Strikes Back.
Okay, then Return of the Jedi.
Yeah,
Yeah, then we've just started hitting the modern ones, Anakin Skywalker kind of stuff.
yeah. My dad wanted to call me Anakin Skywalker. My dad wanted to call me Anakin, not Anakin Skywalker. I don't know why I included his second name, but yeah, my mom had to fight to not call me Anakin.
Tell me about your organizational skills. I was same thing. I was listening to that other podcast, and you pretty much documented your London Marathon morning by the minute. To like, this is what time I eat a banana. This is what time I have a coffee. This is what time I have my Nomio. Like, yeah, it sounded very, very thorough in your organization.
I feel like the reason it is like that, and it is maybe it's overthinking. I don't know. I definitely used to be an overthinker. People used to say that all the time. In fact, I can remember when I was booking this altitude camp in January to go out to Sierra Nevada. I was talking to Henrik Ingebrigtsen about like everything, and after the race, he was like, "Me and Philip were saying you race how you are as a person as well." And I was like, "What does that mean?" Because I'm quite erratic in the race as well. I'm always like looking around, and I was like, "Okay, that's interesting to know. I'm glad people think like that about me." So it's been a bit of a reflection point since then. But the reason I planned yesterday to basically the minute, or not yesterday, sorry, Sunday, and also generally have to do that. I feel like because I'm actually a very average runner who has just had to do everything perfectly over the last few years to get to where I am, and it's almost everything has had to be dialed completely. I don't think I'm very talented, so it's just kind of that carrying on. Like I feel like I can't afford to let that slip now as well.
Well, that's where
If
you
that
can make
makes sense.
small gains as well. Being
Yeah,
organised over there can help you make up a little bit of stuff you might be lacking. A lot of our
yeah,
listeners will think you're very talented given your PBs, but I know what you mean.
yeah. Just to give some people insight, obviously proportionately, probably I am still a talented runner. But I can remember when I did some testing, 2021, and we had everything measured. So like all our different mechanics, and they also measured my legs, and they just basically laughed in my face at how short my legs were for a runner. I think they were the shortest they'd ever measured for my height, and I was like, okay, that's great to hear. Well, I don't know
Yeah.
why you told me that, but then when such a big thing in our sport is leg levers and having long legs, that was the worst thing I could possibly hear at the time. So it's taken me quite a while to get over that, to be honest.
And then to finish off, I can't let you go without asking about like your shoe choices. Given that you
hmm
can wear what you want, what did you race in Sunday? What's top 5 shoes in your rotation at the moment for kind of different days or different reasons, I suppose.
So I raced in the Puma Fast Offree. It's what I have all my PBs in now: 5K, 10K, half, and marathon. I really suit that shoe. I think a few people might find it too aggressive, but I'm a big fan of that shoe for races. Um, Easy runs, recovery runs. I think the Nike Vomero Plus is one of the all timers.
Mm.
Um, it's a phenomenal shoe. It can pick up the pace remarkably well for how big it is as well. Other than that, I'm a big fan of wearing something a bit more dialed back. So the Puma Velocity Nitro 4 or Puma Velocity 4, I really like that. Stripped back, more of an old fashioned kind of shoe, but with the new tech, to keep it a bit more cushioned and supportive. Training shoes. I mean, I'm a big fan of the Jordan Donnelly shoe for Threshold. So the On Cloud Zone or Cloud Boom Zone. That's a really good shoe. And maybe the wildest take would probably be the Rad UFO. I wear that for heat training quite a lot, and actually, shoe I'll probably stop wearing now moving forward because talking about the Jordan Donnelly shoe across the board, he's a big fan of honest running, and that's something I've tried to get back into. Where sometimes I think my mechanics get a bit too lazy, and the Rad UFO is definitely one of those shoes that just lets you bounce along the road. So I'm trying to step out of those a bit more often as well.
I'd never heard of that shoe until we went into this pop up. I was with Jordan in Boston, and they had him on the wall, and it's a lot of shoe.
Yeah,
It looked very different than everything else on the market.
makes running very nice. The free shoes, I would say, if anyone just wants to make running as nice as possible and not care about um, training adaptations, or maybe someone who really struggles to get out the door through aches and pains, I think the Nike Vomero Premium, the Rad UFO, and then the Leaning Red Hair 9 Ultra are probably the free shoes I'd wear if I had to make running as easy as possible.
Which that's what you want post marathon.
Yeah.
These first couple of jogs back, that's surely what you're going to be going for.
Yeah, do you know what? I actually have not. I was already in the mindset of starting to be a bit more honest, so I only packed the Pegasus 42, which is actually the first Pegasus that is good in a very long time.
Yeah.
But it's still a bit more honest. So I was hoping to do my first run in that, but I might have to maybe lace up my race shoes or something to try and go out the door.
Don't do that. Don't
Maybe just
put
have
the
an extra
fast
day off.
R on
Have an
with
extra day
busted
off.
marathon legs. Alfie, it's been great. What we do, the show goes out on kind of two feeds, so like our Patreon theme and our feed and our like iTunes, Spotify, everywhere feed. But we like to put intro and outro songs on our Patreon feed that the guest chooses.
Oh, wow.
So I need two songs from you. I need an outro one, which the listeners will hear in a second. And I also need an intro one, which they'll hear the first, minute and a half, 2 minutes of. And songs say a lot about people. You can be as wild. Should have seen the shit that Seth was telling me yesterday.
What did you go with, Seth? I'll get my Spotify up for inspiration.
Mate, I'd never heard of these songs, so I'm gonna have to open the message and talk about them. But
I've got my outro song already.
This was heavy metal stuff, which it went down well with a few listeners. And that's the thing. Like, do you want to be individual in the songs you really are listening to, or you're trying to be? Is this a popularity contest? So
no, I've got to be true to me, right? That's definitely what I'm going to go for.
Seth went through with Roots Bloody Roots by Sepral Ultra, never heard of it, and Bleed by Meshuggah. This is like heavy metal stuff, which isn't my cup of tea, but I appreciate that he loves music.
I get that from Seth, to be honest. I kind of felt like he would pick something like that.
Yeah.
I'm going to go for the outro, Never Say Never by Justin Bieber.
Okay. Fresh off his Coachella success.
Yeah, honestly, I've been watching that so much. If I ever could have a man crush, it would be Justin Bieber for sure. And then let me check what my Spotify Unwrapped said, because I want to go with like, I have something in my brain where this is niche as well, and I do apologize for dragging this on.
No, this is good.
Like if I go to a restaurant, I can't read the menu. I can't somehow process a lot of information at once. I can't go to the grocery store and shop without a shopping list because I can't process that information. It's maybe why I also plan everything down to the minute, because for some reason obviously I know what my favorite songs are, but now you've asked me, I couldn't tell you a single one.
I should have given you a heads up.
No, it's fine. It makes it more challenging, which I like. Let's go with, it's definitely a Dave song. I'm just trying to get the right one. I am going to go with, I'm trying to get it an upbeat intro song as well, but maybe that's too much to ask from me.
No, we want to give them something like a lot of people run when they listen to this podcast. So this is going to get them up and about running out their driveway on a Wednesday morning in Australia.
Let's go with History by Dave and James Blake then, please.
History, David, James Blake.
Sorry, by Dave featuring James Blake.
Okay, got it. I'm a bit old for that kind of stuff, but I'm sure I'll enjoy it when I listen to it as I add it to the front of this episode. Alfie, all the best. I hate this question to finish off with, but I've got to ask it. Mm-hmm. Do you know what's next when you're 48 hours off a marathon?
Yeah, I can give you a better idea when my legs start to come back to me, but
Yeah,
I
it's
think
a
I think
stupid question.
I think right now I am hopefully looking to make a team in the summer over the Europeans or Commonwealths or the World Championships on the road. So most likely for that would be either the Commonwealth 10K or the World Half Champs. I think would be the next big race goal anyway.
That would be good. Listeners, keep an eye out for Alfie Manthorpe. Massive thanks, Alfie, for some of your time.
No, thank you for having me. It's been fun.
I just want to end this episode with a quick shout out to Nomio. After trying it in my own training, I'm convinced, and every elite athlete I follow also seems to be on it. Using it before hard sessions or races is a game changer, and I can't imagine doing one now without broccoli in my veins. You can find out more for yourself at drinknomio.com. Won't you come and take a walk in my shoes and tell me if you take my place? Undercover of my skin, I've heard all your names. If it's all the same, I'll keep on walking. Undercover of my skin, I've heard all your names. If it's all the same, I'll keep on walking. Who'd have stayed hung up? Who'd have been knocked down? But here I stand, a man whose roots he understands, and I'm gonna hold my head up high. I was told as a young man, doesn't matter if you're white or black, just show love to everyone you meet. Doesn't matter if it